Okay, so we're recording right now. So we're focusing on grammar for the SAT. This also says ACT, so it's for both. And we're going to start on page 50, Skill Builder 1, Punctuation. And we're just going to talk about a variety of punctuation marks and have you try some practice problems in breakout rooms. Obviously, we know what a period, a question mark, and exclamation point do. They don't really test that. So I think I'm just going to kind of gloss over that just a little bit. I don't think that's really worth our while. Let's talk about the comma. I think that's what I really care about. So let me kind of read this out loud here. The comma is an important mark of internal punctuation. Internal meaning within the sentence, right? The function of the comma is to break up the sentence into separate thoughts to increase clarity and ease of reading. Okay. It represents a slight pause that we use in speech to express meaning. Today, the tendency in writing is to use as few commas as possible without sacrificing clarity. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. That's the other thing too. So some rules. Use the comma to separate words, phrases, and clauses written as a series of 3 or more coordinate elements. What they basically means if you're listing 3 or more things, use commas, right? Like the band composed of Sheila, Allie, and Eric. The band composed of Sheila, Allie, and Eric played at the wedding. So you definitely want commas after Sheila and Allie, right? Or I came, I saw, Michelle conquered. Or the ride was long, hot, and exhausting. I finished my homework for science, algebra, and English literature. So pretty easy. Sometimes we use a sort of 2 or more coordinate adjectives. So basically, if you're using two descriptive words like cold, rainy weather. So the weather was both cold and rainy. So you put a comma between cold and rainy. Or the long, exhausting car ride. So the car was long and exhausting. So you put the long, exhausting. Use a comma to highlight sharply contrasted coordinate elements. So what's meant by that is that here you have 2 phrases. This phrase we actually call an independent clause. What's meant by that is that it's a statement that could be its own sentence. It could stand on its own. That's what's meant by that. Not lazy, of course, we call that a dependent clause that can't be its own sentence. Kind of same thing happening here. That's an independent clause. That's a dependent clause. Rob said he would be there. That could be its own sentence. And I do not doubt his word. Like that can't be its own sentence. So if you can put those 2 in the same sentence, you separate the comma. Many are called. That could be its own sentence, but few are chosen. That can't be its own sentence. So that's how you want to kind of think of it. Like here, being late, that's dependent. I cannot eat breakfast, that's independent. So you're separating those 2 things with a comma. We needed a number, independent. To enter a contest, dependent. You see on the bus, independent. I took out a punch, dependent. So you really want to think of it that way. That if you have a phrase that could be its own sentence, great. If you have another phrase that can't, great too. When you put both in the same sentence, you separate the comma. Now, if you have 2 independent clauses and they separate the comma, that's a run-on. One is a semicolon or just to make 2 separate sentences for that case. Or if you have 2 dependent clauses and you have a fragment, so you're gonna have to just add in a word or rephrase it. Non-essential clauses. This is also how you want to use commas. So we hear the word essential a lot, like essential workers, like during this pandemic, like a doctor is an essential worker, or a truck driver is an essential worker who's delivering goods. So non-essential means you don't need it, right? Like, did I need this middle phrase here, the leader of our group? No. You could have said Heather was an articulate young woman. That's fine. So why have this phrase in the middle? Because it's nice. It offers a little description. So that's how you can kind of tell that a clause is non-essential. If you just take it out and then read it, it sounds like a complete sentence, like Heather was an articulate young woman. Great. But when you have that non-essential clause in the middle, remember it's in the middle, use commas to separate it. So you definitely need those 2 commas there. Now, sometimes you could do 2 dashes, or if you so desire, you could do 2 parentheses. I use 2 parentheses in my own writing, but it's up to you. But you can't mix it up. Like you can't do this. Comma and dash. That's weird. You gotta be consistent. 2 commas, 2 dashes, or 2 parentheses. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. This next one here. Like, let's just remove that middle phrase with the 2 commas. So whenever I see 2 commas, I immediately like to just pull it out, just see how it sounds. And if it sounds okay, then I know that the 2 commas are needed. Max Weber considered bureaucracy to be the most important feature of modern society. Great. So that middle phrase is really non-essential. You use commas to set things off, like with dates or address location. They don't really do that so much on the SAT. You're addressing somebody, I guess. Yeah. Or a mild interject. Nah, I don't really worry so much about that. Quotations, they didn't really test that. If you do put the word however in the middle of a sentence, you do need 2 commas. Not sure what's happening here. But you don't want commas to be, you don't want to overdo it, right? So what we'll do here, I'll kind of do a few of these, kind of get us kick-started. I'll have you guys go in breakout rooms. And also I'll kind of do a few of these also. Skill Builder exercise 3. So in this case, my mother, sister, and her brother left for the seashore. Great. First, I want to finish my book. So you're kind of setting that off. Alex made chocolate, pineapple, and vanilla cupcakes. Great. White, fluffy cumulus clouds. So you're describing cumulus clouds are white and fluffy. Not the sky. So any questions about those? Let me do, because I just don't feel like moving my screen. So let me do some of these here. Excuse me. John Ritter, the late movie actor, was 54 years old when he died. So that's kind of the non-essential clause. John Ritter was 50 years old when he died. So the middle phrase is not really essential, but it's a description describing who John Ritter was. So you put 2 commas. Usually I cross it off just to see how it sounds without it. Obviously, we're keeping it. If you come home early, Alex, we'll be able to go to the mall. So that's a dependent clause. If you come home early, Alex, we'll be able to go to the mall. Is an independent clause. So that's dependent. That's independent. My father said, you put comma, Roger's an ex-athlete, commas there and there. Hannah screamed, cowered, and cried during the scary movie. For 17, we'll do that one also. It is necessary, therefore, to maintain a normal weight. Because you have that right in the middle. You don't need that phrase necessarily. You could just say, is necessary to maintain normal weight. But maybe the word therefore makes sense from the previous sentence if you're trying to elaborate some idea. I'm going to clear this. So definitely have you guys do 5 through 16 as well as 23, 24, 25. But before that, let's look at superfluous punctuation, like whether it's fine, you can put a C, or you cross off punctuation that's not needed. So I ask you, sir, whether he can be trusted. Yeah, I would probably just get rid of all those. I just don't think you need any of that. Frank Gresham, my best friend, is interested in a military career. Yeah, I think that's fine. Because it would sound fine without the phrase my best friend. So you know my best friend is not essential. So these two commas are separated off. John Brooks, who is a junior, won the award. And Sue Benedict, Joanne Walensky, and Kim Lee were named. I'm going to put the semicolon. Not necessary. We'll do 4 and 5, and I'll turn you guys loose after that. Roberto was able, at any rate, to complete his term. Yeah, because you don't need that middle phrase. So the two commas then serve the purpose of separating the non-essential clause. So that's correct. On Laura's desk were the latest issues of Time, Newsweek, and Vogue. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't put the comma there. Never mind. I didn't see that. Yeah, that comma's not necessary. It wasn't necessary to separate the three magazines you're talking about, you know. I'll have you guys do 6 through 15 as well. And after, when we come back, I'll have you guys kind of quickly share how you guys did. Then we'll talk about colons, and we'll also talk about semicolons. And we'll do some of those builders. We'll talk about dashes and parentheses. We'll do some of those builders. We'll talk about apostrophes. We'll do that builder. And then this will be kind of the fun one where we kind of go through all that. But for now, you guys need exercise builders 2 and 3. One is just go the other ones over again. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so I'll have you guys do exercises 2 and 3. And again, for exercise 2, you're going to be doing 5 through 16, and then 20 through 24, 25, because those we did the other ones. And then for exercise 3, you're doing 6 through 15. So you're doing a total of about 25 questions. Shouldn't take too long. Like each one should take maybe a few seconds. So I'll give you guys maybe, I don't know, 7 minutes, 6 minutes. So around 4:30, we'll come back. So let me stop sharing.